Good morning, everybody. Sorry for the late start. Let's dive in. Yep, we got news today in about 30 minutes. Morning, Sasnit. Morning, Shez. All right, so just a couple minutes ago, I guess about an hour ago, we swept the London high, and we've been going down since then. Kind of chopped around point of control and VWAP for a little while. And the last 5-minute candle, we had a pretty aggressive close below VWAP. Good morning, D. So an area I'm looking at it coming down to is this region right here. There's a couple reasons for that. One is it's yesterday's value area high and point of control, so there's a lot of volume down there. You can see it on the visible range volume profile. There's a pretty big high volume node right there. And then also on the higher time frame, if you look at the 4-hour, there actually is a little bit of a fair value gap right there. So there'd be a nice gap fill if it comes down to like 287. So quite a bit of confluence for that level for it to come down to and retest. I like it coming down to that point of control though. You can see it on this screen pretty good. So that high volume node sticks right out, and then that point of control is the yellow dotted line from yesterday. So we'll see if it comes down and retest that level around 270-ish. It also kind of looks like this whole area right here, I've said it before, it just looks like it's kind of hanging off the edge of a cliff. It looks like it needs to come down and establish a little bit of a base before it goes higher. I say needs. I shouldn't say that. The price can do whatever the heck it wants. What are you guys thinking this morning? Shorts, longs, no bias, just gonna see what the market gives us. Similar thoughts on ES. Kind of retrace a little bit and then a move higher. Is that what you're thinking, D? Market's open in 2 minutes. Not sure about higher today. Yeah, I don't know. We shall see. Kind of looks like it wants to come down to this level down here. It's just a matter of, does it bounce there? Or does it keep going? I wonder if we're going to get much of a move at market open anyway, or if it's just going to be kind of choppy. I do like that it's holding below VWAP, but it's sitting right at that value area low from the overnight session. So we'll see if it bounces. All right, I'm on my stop loss into profit. It's coming down fast to that level. Dang. So much for it being choppy before news. It swept all these lows here, Asia and London levels. Let's see if it holds that and it bounces or if it continues lower. Kind of looks like it might continue lower. It bounced a little bit, but it's not holding. All right, continuing down below Asia and London levels. I'll take one off there. Maybe a little pullback and continuation. I don't know, we'll see. All right, it looks like it is holding those London levels. All right. Maybe made my target a little bit too big. Let's see if we get a little pullback and we can try another short. Well, that might have been the pullback. That just stopped me out. So far, this is our opening range high. See if we get a little pullback closer to opening range high, and we can try a short from there. I may have missed the pullback though. Good morning, G-Man. And so far, this is our 15-minute low. Good morning, Shane. Doing well, looking for some shorts. Right now it's holding the Asia low, but I feel like there's room to come down lower to this point of control value area high level from yesterday. So just kind of looking for a pullback, so maybe the risk to reward is better if we put a stop loss at the 15-minute opening range high and then target down here. Let's see how we react at VWAP. Might be able to take a short from there. Was a pretty strong buy up, coming back up to the 15-minute range high. I guess it did end up holding those Asia and London lows. That was interesting. It didn't look like it. That was definitely a trap for shorts right there. HG, how's it going? I guess it's a good afternoon or good evening to you, huh? Let's see if it comes back below VWAP. Ah, it's evening for you. It made a new high on that 15-minute, but it came right up to that point of control from the overnight session. We're running into quite a bit of resistance there and kind of starting to get back below VWAP. Interesting spot. Starting to chop around this level a little bit. Doesn't know what it wants to do yet. I'm watching this. I have a volume profile from the overnight session. Lots of volume right where we're at. And like I said, sitting at VWAP. So it'll be interesting to see if we push through that or if this is kind of the top and we move lower. I'm leaning towards short. I'm going to take a stab at a short and see if we can get back down to range low, the 15-minute opening range low, and not give it that much room. I'll put my stop loss right above the range high, the current 15-minute range high. Probably could have been more patient on that one. I was just watching it reject the point of control and look like it wanted to get back below VWAP. But we do have news coming up in 18 minutes, so it might just chop around for a little bit. Probably was a little aggressive. All right, stopped out on that one. Made a new 15-minute high. Evan, with Top One Futures, I do the instant funded one, the 50K account. So there's two like straight to funded accounts. There's the Pro Sim funded, which is an intraday drawdown. I do the end of day drawdown, which is the instant funded one. All right, looks like it might be a little choppy until news. Probably should have stayed out of that trade. I think my like pre-market short bias targeting this value area high point of control level made me take that short without looking at the whole picture. Yeah, Evan, the payout rules are good. I mean, it's the standard, like you have to trade at least 10 days, 20% consistency. You have to hit, I think it's a $3,000 or $3,500 profit target. But the payout percentage that you get is the highest out of most of the instant funded options out there. Like if you hit in the 50K account, for example, if you hit hit the profit target and the 20% consistency and all the rules are met, then you can take a max $2,500 payout per account. So if you copy trade 3 accounts, that's $7,500. Whereas like Tradeify, for example, it's $2,000 per account that you can take out. So yeah, I think that's one of the best features that they have. Like one thing that is in there puts the ball in their court. Alrighty. This is breaking out higher. Let's see how it reacts at that 400 level. See if it kind of grabs some liquidity and rejects, or if this thing just continues higher today. Evan, they also have an option too where the standard is 10 days trading to get a payout. They have an option where you can like do an add-on and it would only be 5 days minimum of trading. I usually stick with the 10 just to give myself a little bit of room to have a couple losses in there because it usually takes me 10 days anyway. But if you're a really consistent trader and you feel like you can trade perfectly pretty much and get it done in 5 days with the 20% consistency, it might be worth it to do that add-on. And then if you use code Krista, it's actually 55% off right now. The website only shows 50% off. All right, let's adjust this 15-minute range. This is technically the high right there. You're welcome. And thank you, Evan. I appreciate it. Well, you guys, I was definitely wrong. I was looking for shorts. That opening candle, D, look, like that 1 minute candle right there. I was like, oh, shorts confirmed. I was right. Nope. And then it kind of hung around, chopped around this Asia low. It looked like it was going lower. It definitely trapped sellers right there. Sneaky, sneaky. And then just busted back to the high of the day. All right, coming back up to London High. Starting to reject a little bit. It didn't come all the way up to fully grab that liquidity. So I personally, I might miss this trade, but I'm not going to short from here just because I feel like I'd be chasing it. And then I personally would put my stop loss up above that wick. And I don't know. I don't really like that trade. Although it does look like it's going back down. Be Frosty, good morning. You're sleepy. Go grab some coffee. D, I have never heard that term, a Judas swing. I'm not sure. But if that refers to sweeping both the high and low liquidity, then I guess so. Ah, okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. I'm torn here, you guys. For me, I'm not going to be taking a trade right now because it came up to that London high, had a pretty strong rejection. So you could argue shorts, but it also just came back down to this 15-minute opening range high, which is right near VWAP, and it's starting to bounce from there. So you could argue longs. There is a clear risk to reward if you want to long here, because you could just put your stop loss right below that wick, or even give it a little bit more room and come below these wicks. But then you'd be targeting a new high of day. And if that's in your wheelhouse to target a breakout, go for it. But I'm not convinced on that. It also doesn't really look like it's a convincing bounce off this 15-minute opening range high. Kind of looks like it wants to come lower. Well, or not. There's the bounce. All right, we got news in 7 minutes. So since I'm kind of feeling like I can argue for longs and shorts here, I'm going to sit out and see if news affects anything. Looks like that 15-minute opening range high bounce would have been a good play. An opposite move before the actual move happens. Yeah, I can see where that would be a subjective thing. Because, like, for me, if I had a short bias, then this could be the Judas swing where it's coming up to the high and then it comes low. Or like you said, if someone was looking for longs, this could have been the little fake out. So I guess it's another name for a fake out. All right, coming back below below the 15-minute opening range high. Evan, I don't use Bookmap a whole lot. I don't use it very well. I don't have the paid version. I've just like watched some of the streams, the YouTubers who stream it for free. So I don't have a great version of it, and then I haven't like looked into a lot of training on it. So no, I would say I don't use it very well. Even when I do look at Bookmap, it's kind of just a confluence. Like I'll look at my levels and price action first and kind of have a target in mind. And then if I look at Bookmap and I see that there's a lot of orders right near where I was thinking it's going to head, that just gives me a little bit more confidence in my target. But I don't trade just based on Bookmap numbers. Yeah, Sasmit, that's part of the reason when you asked me, or whoever in the chat asked me yesterday if I trade ICT, and I kind of laughed and said, haha, no. It was because of that. Like, just the way they make their own names for things that other people are already trading, they just like label it as their concept, and then that whole thing. Like, God spoke to me and told me that this is how price action works. It's just a little bit too weird for me. Let the games begin. B Frosty, how long have you been trading? Okay. I just asked because you're very sarcastic sometimes. So I can't tell if you're like making newbie comments or if you're like a seasoned trader just making jokes. I don't know. Like right now, you just said about a year or so, but earlier you said, in my decades of experience. What the heck was that, you guys? There's the news. You see that gap? Does anyone else have that? I am so glad I wasn't trying to trade that. Jeez. All right, let me refresh my screen and see if that... Nope, that gap is still there. That does not happen very often, you guys. Man. I knew we had news coming out, but dang, that was a lot of a bigger, heavier, volatile reaction than I was expecting. I take it the number wasn't very good. All right, let's let this settle and then we'll see what we can get. It's now holding below the 15-minute opening range, below VWAP, so it's kind of confirming that I want to go short. I don't even know what to do with this, you guys. This is all over the place. Like when you have this kind of a news gap, does that count as like a normal gap? Like maybe it's going to come fill that gap? I don't even know. Like I said, that doesn't happen very often. Crazy. All right, let's see if it does kind of come up and fill this gap and reject from there. That would also be the 15-minute opening range high. Yesterday's strategy of just clicking buy would not have worked today. You're right. Honestly, pretty much any position so far today would have just hit your stop loss. Unless you're like scalping for a couple quick points. But this is all over the place. The 15-minute already closed the gap? You mean like this news gap or what? Yeah, technically. All right, I'm taking a short. I do feel like I'm chasing it a little bit. But it's staying below VWAP. And I'm going to target that same 275 level that I had from pre-market. I'll see how it reacts at this 15-minute opening range low, though. If it gets down there and bounces, then I might kill it early. Oh, NQ doesn't have that gap? That's weird. It's not continuing down. What's that, Min? Four-hour chart. What's that? Why? That is weird. What were you gonna say though, Min? Yeah, that's interesting that MNQ is so different. So you're saying that when a 4-hour candle does not have a top wick, it usually comes back up and retests that level? So 374 would need to get swept. Is that what you're saying? Makes sense. All right. Still chopping around these levels. And now it comes down. Well, that's pretty frustrating. I should have stayed confident in that trade and held it. I did, G-Man. I took a short as it rejected, got back below the opening range high, and was holding below VWAP. But on that last retracement, I got into drawdown and just closed the trade. So now I'm down. Things look serious today. Yeah, we had news. PMI came out and it dropped the market pretty quick. There was even a little gap on MNQ. I guess NQ doesn't have it. And then it kind of got choppy after that. So, yep, that's where my trade went south. This chop kind of caused me to lose confidence in being in the right position, but it would have come down to that low, which was one of my targets. That's all right. There's always another opportunity. Still pretty choppy, you guys. Both VWAPs are just flat, which is interesting. 45 minutes into the open, already being flat. I love it. Thanks for making me smile, no diggity. I was a little annoyed with myself and feeling grumpy, but you changed my mood. I appreciate it. Just keep swimming. All right, coming back below that 15-minute low. For me, I don't love the idea of taking a short off of this 15-minute opening range breakout to the downside. Because my thought on a target when I was looking at this pre-market is right down here at like 270-ish. So risk to reward is not great on that because I would probably put my stop loss above that wick. That's like a 1-to-1 risk to reward. And it looks like it's coming back within the range anyway. Might be a little fake out. If it does end up breaking out and continuing lower, we can see how it reacts at this point of control level and possibly take a long bounce. Really just chopping around that opening range low for now. Yeah, Be Frosty, thank you. I appreciate that. If you guys haven't hit the like button already, go do that. I'd appreciate it. Slowly making its way down. We got 31 of you watching, 14 likes. Yeah, G-Man running away without us. Like I was saying though, I didn't love the idea of a short from there. Just, I was looking at the risk to reward. Because I would have entered somewhere right around that opening range low. My target would have been 275-ish. And then, I mean, it could have come all the way back up to VWAP. So I was okay with letting it pass. If it comes down to this point of control and bounces, I'll be watching for a long. If you look at the visible range volume profile, there's decent support there. We had lots of chop there yesterday afternoon. Yep, that's where the fair value gap was on the 4 hour. It was at like 286, I think. It is starting to bounce a little bit at that level. Yeah, Sasmit, that's kind of how I feel right now. It's like, who knows? If we long from there and give it room to come down to point of control, and then possibly target VWAP, it's not a great looking bounce so far though. I mean, it's holding for now. Sasmit's trying to bring you into the Discord so he can continue making more bets. No diggity. You gotta be careful. It's at a decent support level here. We have 3 minutes until initial balance is set too. So far, it is not holding that level. Could come below and grab some of this liquidity here at 255 before bouncing, if it's going to. Still chopping around this level. All right, I'm entering long. $278.75 is where I entered. For now, I'll target VWAP. We can see how it reacts there. If we break above the 15-minute opening range low and close back within it, that would be a good sign. It did bounce pretty well at that point of control. The thing that's making me a little bit nervous is this liquidity, these wicks down here at 252. So I wonder if it's going to come back down and grab those before actually continuing higher. Yep, I'm going to go ahead and close it there because of what I was saying. It looks like it might come down if it's going to bounce. Could come grab this 255 level. we do have our initial balance set too. So initial balance is right about here. Right now, we're breaking below it a little bit. It's down here at these wicks from Monday afternoon. Let's see if it grabs that liquidity and closes back within the initial balance. Yeah. You're not wrong, Sasmit. That's why I'm trying to slow down a little bit. If it's going to be a liquidity sweep, this is the spot for it. But it also feels a little bit like catching a falling knife. This thing has just been down. Ever since that little bit of chop below VWAP, it's just been down from there. There is no sign of buying, and at this point, no pullback either. Definitely ran away without us, G-Man. Yeah, Shazmikaz, tell me about it. I'm trying not to be frustrated too. You guys saw me do it. I was in that short from way up here. Got into a little bit of drawdown. That chop, like, made me lose my confidence in the trade. And my ultimate target was point of control. That was like a 60-point trade. So D, I'm not a master with fair value gaps at all. I usually trade more of the volume profile, which a lot of times lines up with fair value gaps. But I don't know what the stats are. Maybe someone in the chat can say who actually trades fair value gaps, but I think a lot of times it will fill, or like there's a decent chance that the fair value gap will fill and then possibly bounce from there. Or if it completely goes through the fair value gap, it can now serve as resistance. All right, Be Frosty, have a good day. Still no pullback. So kind of just watching these volume nodes, it could potentially come down to this value area low from yesterday and bounce. Or if we get a pullback and come back up to initial balance low, we could short from there. So, a couple possibilities. Coming down to value area low. Let's see if we get any sort of bounce. if we potentially long from here and give it some room for it to come down and grab some of these wicks. But we also have this giant open space right here. And I don't want to be trying to catch a falling knife. Because this thing is not bouncing. Let's see if it grabs these wicks and bounces or if it just continues straight through. Because we have this big old gap right here. No sign of a bounce, you guys. This is wild. And annoying that I was in a short. If I had just kept my stop loss where it was and not closed it early. Good job, G-Man. So far, it's working on undoing Monday's up only. Yep. So D, here's another fair value gap. You see that big green candle right there with no like pullbacks? It's entering that right now, so potentially could come down to like 23,100. This right here is Monday's opening candle. That's going to be crazy if it retraces that whole move and didn't give us any sort of pullback to enter short. Watching the 5 minute, it's all red. Broke out of the initial balance low, did not come back and retest. This whole area right here would have been a decent spot for it to come back and retest. Nope. Just going straight down. There you go, Sasmit. We're adapting our strategy. Yesterday was just buy everything. Today is just enter short. Just everybody enter a short right now and you'll win. Do I have an anchored VWAP on the last low, like this one way down here? I don't. Well, there it is. We're coming down to it right now. And breaking right through it. This is getting funny. 23,100 is pretty much Monday's open. Let's see if we find any sort of bounce support there. Is this all from PMI? Or is like Trump speaking or something? I know he was on CBS or something like that earlier. CNBC. Yeah, I don't see any other news or tweets or anything like that. All right. So for now, what I'm looking for is if we get any sort of reaction on this gap fill at 23,100-ish. Or if it pulls back up to any of these support levels. So like value area low, if it pulls back there and rejects, or initial balance low and rejects from there, we could possibly look for shorts. Still dropping. That's right, G-Man. We are getting a little bit of a pullback. Not anything I would want to take a long on necessarily because it didn't come down to any significant level that I can see. So let's see if we get a pullback to possibly value area low or even initial balance low. Possibly take a short from there. Yeah, I see that too. Chichimus, I added the previous low VWAP, but for now, it's kind of holding below it. I know a VWAP is not an exact line. It could kind of chop around and then decide to move back up, but there's not really any clear support at this spot. Do I know why a big drop? No. I haven't seen anything big on financial juice or anything like that, other than PMI was released about an hour ago. So it could just be residual from that. But that seems weird. There's got to be something else. Well, at this point, it's not going anywhere. Bye, D. Have a good day. If it comes back up to this value area low, we can see how it reacts there. An even better spot for a pullback short if it comes up to this IB low point of control area. That might be even better if it comes back up there. Because by the time it makes its way back up there, the New York anchored VWAP might be in that general area too. So somewhere around here. Volume is still pretty decent. Just wonder if it's going to reject from here or continue lower from here, or if it will get a nice pullback so that we can actually get a good level to short off of. We had a couple good green 5-minute candles, but it looks like it wants to come back down from here. Yeah, Sasmit, on days like today and yesterday, it makes it hard to enter. Like yesterday, I kind of got lucky because I was already in a position and then it just went straight up to my TP when the market opened. Today, I was in a position and it actually was the right idea. It just chopped around first and hit my stop loss. And then I got chopped around. Today you got lucky. Nice. Green is green. You can be thankful for it and grateful. I do get it though. Mentally, you're like, it wasn't really like following my strategy necessarily. It kind of just happened. Or maybe you were following your strategy. It just, I don't know. You know what I mean? Sometimes those trades are like, well, I'll take it. Thanks. All right, guys. Well, I'm not going to personally take a long. I would definitely be chasing at this point because stop loss would be way down here. But I didn't personally see a great reason to long off of that. It's not like it was a level that I had marked. So, and with the trend being way down, I think I'm kind of waiting for a reaction at this level before possibly taking a short. Unless that was the bottom and we're just going to go all the way back up to the high of the day from here, which would not be out of the ordinary because NQ has been crazy like that lately. Well, I think that's what I'm going to do, you guys. Instead of sitting here like having FOMO and feeling like I should enter long, I'm just going to set an alert for this level up here and see if price reaches that level and then how it reacts at that level. If sellers don't show up and it just continues to close higher and closes back within the initial balance low, then this thing could definitely go higher. But I'll watch and see how it reacts at that level and then possibly take a short if sellers show up. But that is my plan. Not a great morning, but it's an opportunity for me to step away and wait for a better opportunity this afternoon. Get my accounts back green. But I'm going to call it there, you guys. I'll be back live tomorrow. If you haven't already, hit that like button on the way out. I appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of your trading day. Trade safe, you guys. Take care.